Bonsoir tout le monde. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular council meeting of April 11th, 2023. Roll call. Councillor Lorrain is absent this evening. He had motivated his absence at the last meeting. I'll ask everyone to please stand for the territorial non-acknowledgement statement and moment of reflection, and then followed by the national anthem.
Alors, nous reconnaissons que nous sommes sur le territoire non cédé des Anishinaabe et les terres traditionnelles des peuples Haudenosaunee, Huron-Wendat et Canyon-Kehaka. Nous reconnaissons notre obligation commune de respecter, d'honorer et de préserver ces terres et les ressources naturelles qu'elles contiennent.
Whereas Canada is founded upon principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law, let us take a moment of personal reflection. Thank you very much, everyone. Merci beaucoup. Item number 4, additions, deletions, or amendments. I have one, item 18A, for tree damage during the ice storm. Members of council, anything else to add for this evening? Seeing none, then I will need a motion to approve the agenda as amended. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Deakin, seconded by Councillor Ternosky. Tous en faveur? Opposé? Carried. Déclaration d'intérêt pécuniaire. Seeing none. L'adoption des procès-verbaux. Procès verbal de la séance ordinaire du Conseil du 27 mars 2023. Motion d'approuver le procès-verbal tel que présenté. Besoin d'un proposeur, un appuyeur, s'il vous plaît. Proposé, conseiller Lalonde, seconded, Councillor Ternosky. Tous en faveur? Opposed? Carried. Item 8, présentation, il n'y a pas. Item 9, delegation, there is none. Item 10, consent items. Motion that all items listed under consent items be received as presented. A, minutes of the Environment and Sustainability Advisory Committee of October 5th, 2022. B, minutes of the Township of Russell Public Library Board, February 16, 2023. And C, minutes of the United Counties Prescott-Russell, February 22nd, 2023. Questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Mover and a seconder. Move, Councillor Ternosky, seconded, Councillor Deakin. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Merci. Item 11A, removal of part lock control, PD 2023, 202-204 Moisson Street in Embrun. Question, commentaire? Non? Quelque chose à ajouter de l'administration?
Non, merci.
Parfait. Item B, demande de modification au règlement de zonage, rapport PD 14-2023, subdivision sud-ouest de la rue Church à Russell. Que le Conseil reçoive le rapport PD 14-2023 daté du 11 avril 2023 et approuve la la demande de changement de zonage soumise par Mélanie Construction Inc. pour changer le zonage de zone résidentielle 1A, aménagement différé R1AH, à zone résidentielle 1, aménagement différé R1H. 2, de zone résidentielle 1A, aménagement différé R1AH, à zone résidentielle 2, aménagement différé R2H. 3 from residential 1A holding to residential 3 holding. 4 from residential 1A holding to open space. And 5 blocks 275 and 276 on draft plan certified by Annis O'Sullivan, Vollebec Limited, OLS, dated January 20th, 2022. From residential 1A holding to residential 3, exception 58, holding R5358. Notwithstanding the provisions of this bylaw, to the contrary, the land zoned R358 may only be used for detached dwelling, semi-detached dwelling, or townhouse dwelling in accordance with the following provisions. Building height maximum 5.5 meters. Questions, comments, members of council? Hearing, seeing none. Anything to add, Madame Tremblay?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Parfait. Item C, demande de modification au règlement de zonage rapport PD 17-2023, Croissant Chablis Embrun. Que le Conseil reçoive le rapport PD 17-2023 daté du 11 avril 2023 et approuve la demande de modification au règlement de zonage soumise par Mélanie Construction Inc. pour les terrains en question pour modifier les dispositions de la zone résidentielle 2, exception 29, afin de permettre la construction d'une maison unifamiliale sur un terrain ayant une superficie minimum de 300 mètres carrés. Questions, commentaires, questions, comments, members of council? Hearing, seeing none. Anything to add, Madame Tremblay?
Non, merci.
Okay. We'll go to item D, noise bylaw exemption request for the Russell Fair 2023, report PIC 02-2023. The council received report PIC 02-2023 dated April 11, 2023, and approve as recommended in this report a noise bylaw exemption for the Russell Fair to accommodate a stock truck pull on Thursday, August 17th from 11 p.m. to midnight, outside live entertainment on Friday, August 18th, and Saturday, August 19th from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m., and on Saturday, August 19th from 11 p.m. to midnight for the demo derby. Questions, comments, members of council? Madame Bordeaux, this is something that comes back every year, but I know last year I did get a number of complaints. I know we tried reaching out to the Ag Society. Has there been any discussions as to how they can maybe soften the blow?
I did speak with them, and they're supposed to get back to me in the coming weeks once they know which band they will retain for this event. So we'll try to organize the music so it doesn't aim at residential
Areas.
Properties. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions, members of council? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter, Madame Bordeaux?
No.
Okay, parfait. Item E, proposal for transit system between Embrun-Russell and Vars Park and Ride, report EcoDev 01-2023. The council received report EcoDev 01-2023 dated April 11, 2023, and support the proposal included in this report and mandate the administration to pursue negotiations with the UCPR. Questions, comments, members of council? Councillor Deakin?
I think this is a great idea to go and explore with the UCPR and how those funds could be reallocated to support a project like this in our township. And I just wanted to clarify through you, Mayor and Mr. Fonin, that it's not possible with these funds to bring a direct commuter bus back to Ottawa, that would be outside of the stipulations of these particular funds?
Yeah, these funds are through the pilot program with through Prescott-Russell, so is very much for an internal program. So I'm not sure, Madame, through you, Mr. Fon and Madame Tremblay, I don't believe there's a possibility of going back to a similar commuter system we had in the past with the funds currently allocated from Prescott-Russell. Sorry.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So with this option, you're correct. So the funding is really specific for the criteria. So it's les critères de sélection pour le projet, c'est vraiment intercommunautaire. Donc, il y avait deux volets au funding qui étaient le intercommunautaire puis un autre service qui était offert par les comtés. Donc, pour être capable de transférer les fonds, on doit continuer à respecter les critères qui sont intercommunautaires ou à l'intérieur de notre propre communauté.
Intercommunautaire.
That being said, we have in our business plan the proposal to reevaluate the transit system.
Yeah.
So this is something that will come up later in the year to evaluate options to bring the resident from Russell Township to Ottawa, and we'll bring back a report to council with that option.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see as well because since we stopped the municipal service, the same provider that we had has continued that service privately, and there's not much uptake on it. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Follow-up questions, Councillor Tarnowski, and then Councillor Lalonde.
On confirme, c'est juste un projet pilote, puis qui va rien coûter.
Mike.
C'est un projet pilote pour l'instant, c'est des fonds qui viennent du UCPR, correct?
At this point in time, I think it's just to have those conversations and put something together that can be brought to this council for evaluation.
Okay.
So we just need to find an option that will be proposed to the county to see if the ministry would allow us to transfer those funds. So at this moment, the proposal, we're just asking council to open that discussion with the county and see if there's an option for using those funds that right now are sitting at the county level.
So just my only point to that is I think there's 3 buses that leave Ottawa, OC Transpo buses that leave Ottawa in the morning, and then 3 that come back at night. So I would assume that there would be bottlenecks if we had a service that would bring people there, right? So I'm sure we would have a limited capacity on a minibus or whatever. It's not as if it's a continuous flow, like to get people to a regular bus route or to come back. So we have a bus load that comes back. They're looking for transport. So it'll be interesting to see what it looks like. I look forward to seeing that. But I think at a design level, that might be problematic. But just my comments. Merci.
Councillor Lalonde?
Yeah, just to comment that the interest through members and residents involved with the Accessibility Advisory Committee, they're hoping that the whole issue of accessibility and for persons with disabilities, physical disabilities, will be taken into account in this pilot study to make sure that there's accommodation for that as well.
Yep, I believe the current buses with PR Transpo are accessible friendly, but Madame Tremblay?
Yeah, and I just want to clarify that we're not even talking to a pilot project at this point. It's just to evaluate option and present those options to the ministry to see even if we could get to a point. So it's really to start the conversation with the county level to have that discussion with the ministry to see if we could transfer the funds.
Yeah.
So
It's
we didn't
basically
go as far as looking at the logistic of everything, but this is why we want to start the conversation and see if it's feasible.
Yeah, it's basically asking permission to have those conversations. Okay, any other questions, comments? Councillor Deacon?
Yeah, I was just going to congratulate you for taking the step to have this discussion with UCPR. When I look across the United Counties, looking at our demographics here, our growth, the proximity of our communities, I can't really think of a better place for them to reallocate some of those resources for us to see if our growing community is ready for more local shuttle and public transportation. I would like to see, given the challenges around commuting to Ottawa from the VARS Park and Ride, the length of time, I would like to see as diverse as possible options in terms of the outcomes that we're hoping to achieve with the program, such as going community to community, libraries to town halls or the grocery store and those things as well, stops along the way. Again, it's got to be almost over an hour to get to Ottawa by way of the VARS Park and Ride some days, so just bearing that in mind.
Yeah, same like it's an hour to get from Orleans to Canada on the AOC Transpo system. Living from far from one point to one point, it's going to be a ride, public transit. So, okay, any other questions or comments? Perfect, we'll move forward with that. Item F, Water and Sewer Annual Report for 2022, ISWAT 02-2023. The Council receives report ISWAT WW02 2023 dated April 11, 2023, and acknowledge receipt of the Water and Sanitary Sewer Operations Compliance Report 2022. Questions, comments, members of Council? Councillor Tarnowski.
Monsieur Bourgon, great report, really interesting reading. I just wanted, I remember seeing these in the past, but I wanted to know the 21% average loss, is that standard compared to what we've seen in the past? And if so, that's fine, it makes sense because there's a lot of good reasons why there is loss, but I just wanted to know if it's standard, if it's comme dans moyenne.
Through you, Mr. Fonan, Monsieur Bourgon.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Donc, la moyenne pour la municipalité dans les dernières années, c'est constant.
C'est constant, OK.
Il y a comme vous l'avez mentionné, il y a plusieurs facteurs là, qui apportent à ce pourcentage-là. C'est sûr que nous, du côté maintenance ou investigation, c'est toujours d'essayer de réduire au maximum ce pourcentage-là. Il y a aussi du meilleur tracking qu'on tente de faire, qu'on implémente aussi, parce que les contracteurs qui utilisent l'eau pour le street sweeping, des choses comme ça, mais ça c'est toutes des choses comme ça. Le meilleur tracking qu'on peut faire, ben, ça nous aide à réduire là, notre pourcentage de... Mais pour répondre à votre question, c'est constant aux dernières années.
OK. Juste un suivi, s'il vous plaît. Ça serait juste au niveau du coût de l'eau comme tel, puis ça serait peut-être pour M. Godin à travers M. Fonan. Au niveau de cette perte-là de 21%, I guess, on facteur ça dans le prix de l'eau, right?
Through you, Mr. Fanning, Monsieur Bourgon.
Ben dans le fond, le modèle financier qu'on a établi déjà plusieurs années passées, qu'on revoit aux 5 ans, oui, effectivement, on indique dans ce modèle-là le pourcentage de perte d'eau que nous avons.
Parfait.
Donc, oui, donc, à chaque fois qu'on fait cette révision de notre plan, de notre modèle financier, on est en mesure d'ajuster la moyenne qu'on a comme valeur.
Okay. Parfait. D'autres questions, commentaires? One for myself, Monsieur Bourgon. There was a note on page 115 that just says, it was highlighted in red, that said, consultation with South Nation Conservation is recommended to eliminate restriction on Russell Lagoon ECA. According to the reserve capacity calculation, no additional development should be approved in Russell under restriction and ECA is removed. I'm assuming we're working on that to eliminate that, if it hasn't been done already.
Merci, M. le maire. Donc, on n'a pas atteint ce plateau-là, mais c'est dans les prochaines années. Donc, cette année, oui, c'est quelque chose qu'on doit discuter avec South Nation afin d'établir un rapport pour nous permettre d'aller à notre pleine capacité là, à Russell. Puis ça, c'est par rapport au phosphore qui est dans l'eau.
OK, parfait. Puis juste une dernière question. I just saw that on page, I'll just bring it up here, page 2 actually, that was the easy one. It said replacing batteries in Miltronics every 3 years, date January 30th, 2020, so I'm assuming it's on the business plan for this year, correct?
Oui, effectivement.
Perfect.
Puis, je peux juste ajouter que nos rapports annuels, là, ça reflète aussi tout ce qui a été fait comme différentes inspections au courant de l'année,
Oui.
qui est vraiment là, un résumé de toutes les opérations. Pour information, dans le fond, au conseil, qui sont ultimement là, les propriétaires du système d'eau et d'égout.
Puis avec tout ce rapport-là, nothing of concern from your point of view?
Non, il y a plusieurs points pour amélioration, comme qui est signalé à toutes les années, qu'on pense juste à la modernisation de notre système ou d'être plus efficace, mais rien à signaler là, à ce moment-ci.
Parfait, merci beaucoup. Prochain item, item G, Russell 125th Anniversary Report PR 03 2023. That council receives for information report PR 03 2023 and give direction to the administration to proceed with the identified non-budgeted projects for a total cost of $26,125. Mr. Fonan, Monsieur Godin, I believe in the budget we do have a matching funds line item, so finding the funds this year would be possible without affecting the budget, that's correct?
Merci, Monsieur le Maire. Bonsoir, Chairman du Conseil. That's correct. We do have a matching grant reserve, which has $100,000, so we could use those funds to cover those costs. And we do replenish that reserve every year, so in next year's budget, whatever we needed to use would be replenished in that sense.
We can also make the choice of not replenishing it if we choose not to do so.
Exactly.
I think off the top of my mind, I'm not sure if we ever used that line item specifically for matching grants in the past.
There have been a few, I think since I've been here, it's been used 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
It's not that common.
Not that common. Perfect. Questions, comments, members of council? Councillor Lalonde?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make the comment that, I had the opportunity at the beginning to see the group come together in Russell and put a plan together and then work with township staff and other members of council. I just want to applaud staff here as well as the movement out of Russell for working closely together and getting it to the point that it's at now. I think it's a real testimony to that whole idea of pride and that we're trying to build back in the community. And I think Township has done an excellent job of working with the group, and thanks to the group for this these exciting ideas and the opportunity it's going to give us this summer. So thanks to everyone really involved. It's been a process, and I've watched it from a distance, but people have worked very hard all around. So congratulations to staff and to the 125 group.
Thank you very much. Councillor Deakin?
I echo that sentiment. Well said. I just had a question about the village street blades. So would those replace the usual street signs?
Mr. Fonin, Madame Guittard, Monsieur Bourgon, I believe that's the intention, is to replace, in the village
In
court,
those
to
34.
replace with those new ones?
Yeah, exactly. To replace the existing blue signs that we see at our intersections.
So
Okay,
it would
so-
help differentiate the core of
Right.
the...
So there's obviously certain standards that they need to be held to in terms of contrast ratio and things like that for the design.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so then the township would be working with,
Basically,
committee,
yeah. So
presumably?
they provided some template to be used, but yeah, Township will revise, make sure it meets our standard, do the production and installation of those signs.
thank you.
Perfect. Mr. Fonin, or anyone else from the administration like to speak to this subject? Mr. Fonin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. Just I wanted to point out with regard to this request, the issue of McDougall Park is a little more complex than some of the other issues, and we're going to be working with the community. McDougall Park, of course, is a municipal property, so it falls under certain different standards and liability issues that have to be considered in the work that is going to go on in the park. So the Parks and Recreation staff will be working to make sure that that project goes forward. It likely will not meet the dates for the 125th celebration period, but it is on the project list for some improvements.
And I also know that we're doing a bunch of work on Craig Street this year, so that might affect that timeline as well. Madame Guittard, quelque chose d'autre à ajouter?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. No, I think like Mr. Fonin mentioned, we will be working for the Parks and Rec. We'll be working closely for the McDougall Park because there are some extensive work to be done there. So we will work with the committee. And I think I speak for the rest of the team, so we're glad to be able to help them in celebrating the 125th anniversary of Russell.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing example of the community coming together, the township coming together, police village trustees coming together. It's a three-way partnership, which is nice to see. Anything else to add? If not, we'll move on to the next item. Thank you very much. Prochain item H, amendment, demande d'une exemption du... non, pas celle-là. Modification du règlement des comités, approbation des procès-verbaux, rapport CL 02-2023. Que le Conseil reçoive le rapport CL 02-2023 daté du 11 avril 2023 et approuve le règlement proposé visant à modifier le règlement des comités en ce qui concerne le processus d'approbation des procès-verbaux. Questions, commentaires, questions, comments, members of council? Councillor Lalonde.
Yeah, I'm happy to see this coming through because we are with some of the committees that have to wait several months for minutes to be approved in the case of the Accessibility Advisory Committee. So I applaud this change that allows us to approve the minutes sooner and circulate them sooner as well amongst members.
Yeah, perfect. Any other questions or comments? Anything else to add from the administration? Perfect.
No, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next item, report from investigator and the ombudsman. We have none. Item 13, notice of motions. Notice of motion from Councillor Deakin, support for Bill 5, Stopping Harassment and Abuse by Local Leaders Act. So it's a notice of motion, so there's no discussion tonight, but it will be discussed in 2 weeks' time. Item 14, question period on the meeting of the day. If anybody has any questions, to please come up to the lectern and state your name and address for the record.
Dave Dyer, 75 Mill Street. I just wanted to take a second to recognize and thank many people regarding the 125 initiative. From staff's level, it's been a pleasure working with you. From Dan, Céline, Dominique, Jonathan, just by going over that, it highlights the number of different departments that are engaged in this little process. And I have to admit that one of my faults is that I sometimes have grand ideas, and it takes many people to put pieces together. And I'm really happy to work with the folks at Township, and thank you very much. I think it's worthwhile publicly acknowledging the help that you've provided. And also to council, you started things in January with a declaration of 125. There's been lots of stuff that's been done, and I do appreciate that there are many more things that are still have to be done. So it's off to a great start, as they say, and I look forward to seeing you all on the playing field, whatever that playing field might be, over the course of the summer. Thanks very much. Tout le monde.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to resolutions. Item 15. Nope. Oh, you have one?
Harry Baker, 208 Forest Road. Again, regarding to the same activity, is there any definite date yet for Meet Me on Concession Street?
Maybe on
July something? Do we know?
Have we finalized a date, Mr. Fonan? We'll just pull it up right now.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it's confirmed on that. I'll double check. 13.
July 13th?
So, yeah, on July 13th. It's on a Thursday.
Okay, everything goes well, July 13th. Thank you very much. All right, with that, no more questions, so resolutions. Motion that council approve all recommendations listed on the agenda under item 11, reports from department and council committees. Need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Tarnowski, seconded by Councillor Deakin. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 16, bylaws. Motion that council approves bylaws 2023-46 to 2023-49 inclusively for first, second, and third reading as listed on the agenda. Need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Lalonde, seconded by Councillor Tarnowski. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 17, new business reports. We have none. Item 18, 18A, myself, in regards to the trees from the ice storm. Mr. Fonan, Monsieur Bourgon, I was just inquiring. We've had a lot of requests for assistance from residents who have a lot of additional tree limbs, if you will, on their properties, and how they go about cleaning that up. So I was just wondering if we have anything in the works or anything lined up for that.
Mr. Mayor, so at this time, our staff, the main focus was to clean municipal property. So we didn't have any plan to do any pickup or special collection for our resident. Just for all other priorities at this time, and mostly to clean up our property. We have the large item pickup that's coming up in 2 weeks, so that's gonna take away staff time for that full week. So that's at this time and we didn't look into contractors at this time either.
Would Mr. Fonan add to that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This has been a hot topic. We were just discussing this prior to the meeting, so I've provided direction to look into possibilities. Quite obviously, the cleaning up of private properties cannot be the priority right now. We've got so much municipal property that requires assistance, both the trails and the parks in particular. Those will need to be dealt with first, but I have asked Mr. Bourgon to look into some options to provide some support to local. It won't be in the next couple of weeks, though. So, and anybody who's called today, I've basically advised we're looking into it. There's a lot of logistics issues to iron out. There's a capacity issue. There's a costing issue. I've asked the treasurer to examine as well, because if we have to hire out contractors to provide that level of assistance in order to keep our own staff focused on our priorities, that's going to be an unfunded pressure that we're going to have to come back to council for.
Yeah, if I remember well, Monsieur Bourgon, I think leaf and yard waste and an extra pickup is, anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 for the township.
Well, based on our current contract, it's $14,000 per collection. But again, that's under contract. We're asking, let's say, the same contractor as a change order. It could go up to easily to $20,000.
Okay, it will be interesting to see. So, so perhaps an update in 2 weeks' time at the next meeting. We should have something to discuss. Okay. Any other questions or discussion on the topic? No. All right. We'll go to the next item. Consultation publique, 19, il n'y a pas. 20, announcements. Any announcements, members of council? Anything going on this weekend or that community events we should be aware of? Councillor Deakin?
Thanks. I have a couple. So April 16th is the International Day of Recognizing Volunteers. So I just wanted to take a moment. It's nice to see that we have such an active volunteer in our community here tonight, two in fact. Just wanted to take a moment to recognize all of those volunteers sitting on our council committees as well, dedicating their evenings to sit by our side and bring the voice of the community, as well as all of the volunteers in our community. And April 22nd is Earth Day. So I see that we're doing a community cleanup where folks can do a cleanup in their yards, in their ditches and properties of garbage, and put the bags at the curb at no extra charge.
So I believe there's a lot of cleanup going on, not just that one day.
We've all got the garbage bags, so perhaps we can do a few more.
Perfect. Any other announcements? Hearing, seeing none. Item 21, closed session. Motion to move into closed session at the hour of 6:32 p.m. to address matters pertaining to Section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001, SO 2001, Chapter 25, to consider matters relating to 1. Land in the Industrial Park, Report CS05-2023 under Section 2C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition land by the municipality or local board. Item 2, proposed purchase of land in Embrun, verbal report, Section 2C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition land by municipality or local board. And item 3, closed session minutes of the regular council meeting dated March 13, 2023. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Tarnowski, second by Councillor Deakin. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We are now in closed session. Thank you very much, everyone. Have yourselves a great evening.